Texas Republicans trying to advance the restrictive voting bill again today. A state house committee hearing public testimony on sweeping election changes this morning as the clock ticks on a second special session. NBCNews.com senior reporter Jane Tim joining me now. Jane, that hearing at the state house today ran several hours. What were the highlights?
You know, it's actually still going. They took a break to go to the House floor,
Really?
but we're expected to go back and keep hearing testimony. You know, it feels a little bit like a rerun of the July hearing on this very bill. Critics, a lot of the same people, familiar faces and names who are coming out in support or in criticism of this bill. They swapped in their own version of the election bill in place of the Senate bill, exactly the same legislative maneuver we saw back in July. But what we are seeing is just less people out there, and I think it's a little bit more abbreviated in general, in part because we've been fighting about this bill for 3 sessions now. This is probably the third, at least, House hearing on this piece of legislation. And also, COVID is surging in the House. There's definitely talk about masks. There is no mask mandate in the Texas House. So I think advocates were a little bit more cautious this time about maybe not packing buses full and sending lots and lots of people to the legislature. Definitely a smaller crowd. Of course, it is a Monday, and the last hearing was a Saturday. That one ran all weekend long.
Jane, the State House and Senate are back at work today, reporting the House could pass these voting restrictions within a matter of days. A pretty big blow to Democrats who've spent months trying to block it. What are you hearing from the Democrats today? Any more delay tactics up their sleeves?
You know, I think we might just see it. Democrats have been spent the weekend really pushing back on the idea that Republicans had achieved quorum last week. Let's take a listen to what one of the leaders of the quorum break, what he's saying about that quorum.
Make no mistake, if there is a quorum, I think we're going down the wrong road here. We already see Republicans acting, at least with the bills in committee, no negotiations, no discussion, no public testimony. They're treating the committee process as if it's the floor, which means the bills could be heard in 40 minutes. That's not being bipartisan or pragmatic.
So we're waiting to see what happens when they actually gavel back in on that session. I did see moments ago that there is a lawmaker who intends to essentially go on the floor and say, I don't think there's quorum, and demand that roll call and actually make people put a name to all of their votes to see if it's really there. So I think Democrats may be trying to repeat their past successes. Time will tell if they're successful, though. Allison?
So, Jane, there are less than 2 weeks left in this special session. What happens if the voting bill doesn't pass before it's over?
They start all over again. This is why Democrats are going to, push every point of order, every delay tactic. It starts to feel a little bit like Groundhog Day. But if they start again, if they delay it past that 2 weeks, they have to start all over again. That means more public hearings. That means the same thing we're doing today. And they have to reintroduce it. It's essentially just a bureaucratic effort. But eventually Republicans can push it through if they can get the quorum and they have the votes at the end of the day.